What's going on, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to you all, unless you're not watching this on Thanksgiving, in which case this is from the past, and I wanted to tell you guys what I am thankful for. Beyond being thankful for the gym, cats, goth babes, goth cat babes, beyond all of that, I am very, very thankful for this YouTube channel and for manga, which is about 90% of what I talk about on this channel, and I have narrowed down for you my top 25 favorite manga of all time. I thought this would be a good video for Thanksgiving since I'm kind of saying what I am thankful for. Also, if you guys have been here for a while, you know that usually at the end of the year, I do an updated top 10 list of what my current favorite manga are. And I usually do that because throughout the course of the year, I read a bunch of new manga, I reread some old favorites, and then I kind of rework the order to see what I'm feeling at that moment. But I don't think I'm going to have time to read another full new manga before the end of the year, so because of that, I figured I would just do my list now. And also, my top 10, though the order has changed, the 10 manga in my top 10 aren't any different from last year, just a little bit of change of the order of them. So instead of making the same video once more, I decided what I would do is make a longer list for you guys, and I'm going to give you my top 25 favorite manga of all time. The only criteria to this list is it's only including manga that I have read, so if I've watched the anime like Death Note, but I have not read the Death Note manga, well, Death Note is not going to count in this list. Also, this is the list of my personal favorite manga that I resonate with. This is not a list of what I think are the 25 best written manga of all time or the 25 best stories of all time. This is my specific favorite list. Like stories that I care about, that resonate with me, that I find a deep connection with in some way. And that might not represent the quality of the manga itself, but it just represents how I feel about it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. My top 25, at number 25, I'm going to put Record of Ragnarok. Record of Ragnarok is still ongoing, so the ongoing series are a little bit harder to rank other than a few of them, but I really, really enjoy this manga. This is definitely how you do a battle tournament style story. This is a story where the world is about to be destroyed by gods, and which gods? Well, every single god ever, but they give humanity a chance to fight back. Humanity are empowered with Valkyrie-like weapons in order to help them face the gods. The entire manga is a fighting tournament against the gods, against humanity's greatest warriors, some of them being Kojiro from Japanese history, and some being Nikola Tesla. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but it does. At number 24, I have a manga called HOMUNCULUS. I really don't know how to summarize this one. A guy gets a drill into his head, and he is able to somehow see the kind of inner thoughts and fears and anxieties of other people that are manifesting into strange visions he sees if he covers over his right eye, but it's also a reflection of himself and the things that he feels about himself. And at one point in the manga, there's some cum eating, so you know I'm a fan of it. I don't know how to describe this. All I'll say is if you're thinking about getting into Homunculus, it is really, 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 really dark. Like, really dark. At my number 23, I have Starving Anonymous. Now, this is a horror manga that I read earlier this year, and apparently there is more continuation to it that I wasn't aware of, so technically I have not read the entire series. However, as a horror manga, I absolutely loved it. Basically, in the beginning, our main character gets abducted. He wakes up in this weird facility where they're feeding humans, fattening them up, and basically feeding them to giant insect-like aliens within this crazy facility, and they're doing a bunch of experiments on human beings, and it just keeps getting more and more and more fucked up as it goes along. It kind of feels like you're in the middle of a Resident Evil game reading this manga. It's crazy, it's good, it's scary. Definitely give it a shot. At my number 22, I have Devilman, Go Nagai's original masterpiece that so many manga have been based on ever since it came out. Look, Devilman is short and sweet. I'm only talking about the original. I'm not talking about his other works, but I gotta say, it really lives up to the hype. And even though there are moments in it that you can tell it's an older manga, you know, it's from the 70s, but you can definitely see the inspiration for so many seinen and shonen mangas from this. It's a masterpiece. It deserves to be on my list. At my number 21, I have Claymore. Now, a lot of people have called Claymore basically the shonen berserk. I don't really necessarily think that's true, but if you want a bunch of lead characters that are badass warrior females fighting demons, I mean, what more could you really want? At my number 20, I have Chainsaw Man. I know a lot of people are probably going to say that Chainsaw Man is too low, but it's just a list of favorite manga. It's still in my top 25 favorite manga of all time. I adore this series. It grew on me over time. When I read it through the first time, it took me about 5 or 6 volumes before I started to get really into it. I thought it had a bit of a rocky start, but I gotta say it consistently gets better and better and better as it goes along. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm loving part 2, which is ongoing right now. And I plan to reread it from the beginning pretty soon, and it'll probably climb up my list even higher once I do. At number 19, I have Fist of the North Star, another OG original shonen manga. This manga will literally inject testosterone straight into your balls, make you stronger, make you smarter, make you more noble, make you more wise, and just, if Fist of the North Star does not motivate you to go train, there's just no hope for you, man. Like, I don't know what to say beyond that. At my number 18, I have Monster. And again, this is another one where people are going to say that it's too low. And remember, this is not a list of best written manga. This is personal favorite. If it was best written, Monster would be in the top 10. But I really, really enjoyed Monster. I think its strengths rely on Tenma and Johan as well. A lot of the side characters didn't resonate with me as hard as they did for other people, though I did really like Grimmer. I think it's a fantastically written manga. While I was reading it, it felt like I was reading a screenplay to a television series. And by the way, the anime does adapt it very, very well. But if any manga got live action treatment, I would say Monster would be the way to go. I don't know why they keep wanting to make live actions out of shonen like Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff when you have material here in Monster that could pretty much be your next Breaking Bad if you decided to make it, but they just don't. At my number 17, I have Parasite. Parasite, I actually saw the anime for first, but I read the manga this year, and it's just as good. It's a great sort of alien invasion story that really kind of puts the focus on what it means to be human, what it means to retain your humanity, to lose your humanity. It's got a bunch of sci-fi horror elements, but also a lot of philosophy in it too. It's just a really great manga all around. My number 16 is going to be One Punch Man. Hilarious, never fails to make me laugh, keeping up with the new chapters. I review each one as they come out on this channel. Definitely one of my favorites. Again, saw the anime first, binged the manga last year, and caught up, and I've been keeping up with it ever since. The satire of the battle manga genre, the satire of superheroes, it just does everything perfectly. At my number 15, I have FULLMETAL Alchemist. I think FULLMETAL Alchemist is a masterpiece that really doesn't have any flaws. The only reason it's farther down on my list is just because I just happen to like other manga more, but there's no fault in FULLMETAL Alchemist that makes it fall further down on the list. It is that good, and if you put it as your number 1, number 2, I would completely understand. At my number 14, I have HELLSING. This is a very short and sweet manga, but I've loved it ever since I was an edgy teenager, and now as an edgy adult, I still love it just as much. I think Alucard is one of the best main characters of all time. He's a badass, he's sadistic, he's got a very tragic backstory, and I just love seeing him wreck shop and just do what he does as a vampire. It's amazing. Vampires versus Nazis, what more do you want? My number 13 is going to be Eden, It's an Endless World, which I read this year, and this manga blew me away. It is extremely dark. Again, one of those manga where I really don't know how to summarize it. I did do a review of it on my channel that you can check out. It's just about humanity. It's about war. It's about artificial intelligence. It's about a virus that unleashes across the world, which might be relatable. There's so much going on here. I don't even know how to explain it. At my number 12... I have 20th Century Boys, which I literally just reviewed a few days ago, just finished it a few days ago. This manga also blew me away. I didn't think I would read a new manga this year besides Eden, It's an Endless World that I would have liked more than that, but 20th Century Boys, I did. It is definitely a intense thriller mystery. Remind me a lot of It and Stand By Me and Stephen King works, where a bunch of things that happen when people were kids, then they grow up and they have to reconnect in order to face a threat that comes from their childhood. And it was incredible, man. And I'm so happy that manga like this exists out there for me to experience. At my number 11, I have Yu Yu Hakusho. Though I don't like it as much as the anime adaptation, the Yu Yu Hakusho manga is also fantastic. Yoshihiro Togashi is an absolute GOAT when it comes to writing manga, writing shonen, and especially writing villains. I really, really do enjoy the manga, and I think it's underappreciated. And Yusuke Urameshi is still probably top 3 protagonist of all time, in my opinion. Now we're entering into my top 10, and my top 10 is the same manga as last year, but the order has changed a little bit. At number 10, I have Inuyashiki. This is a manga by Hiroya Oku that writes a story that shows two different walks of life. You have an old man who's over the hill and just believes that he's useless, and you have a young kid who has this god complex, and they both are gifted these crazy, like, AI sort of superpowers. I really don't know how to explain it. They can cure cancer, or they can cause an endless amount of havoc. And just to see the two directions that they go when they have this power, how one uses it to help and one uses it to destroy, but they both have amazing character arcs, and how they kind of connect with one another, especially towards the end, is really, really interesting. I think it gets overshadowed. I don't think it gets talked about enough. And I really, really highly praise Inuyashiki for just all of the feels that it gave me along the way. At my number 9, I have Attack on Titan. And look, I know Attack on Titan has a lot of controversy around it. I know a lot of people think the final chapter ruined it and everything, but I don't think you can destroy an entire experience of reading a manga just by one chapter, even if the final chapter wasn't that great. I don't think it's horrible, but it's not great. But the experience of reading this manga was truly incredible, and it's something that will be a long time before it happens again. I think the series gets better as it goes along, but I'm in a unique position where I started reading it when it was in its final arc, so I think being able to binge through the first half of the series maybe gave me a different perspective, because as I read it, I thought it kept getting better and better and better and better, but I know a lot of people that were there from the start thinks it goes downhill, but I don't know, I just feel the opposite on this one. My number 8 is Dragon Ball. It's a classic. It's going to be in my heart forever. I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, and I legitimately, this isn't just high on the list because of nostalgia, I legitimately think Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball, not new Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Super, but original Goku as a kid, Dragon Ball until the end, until the Buu Saga, even though the Buu Saga goes downhill a little bit. I think Dragon Ball truly is a masterpiece of manga. You can see how it inspired so much that came after it. It's a fun story. It's enjoyable. It makes me laugh. It gets me on the edge of my seat. Frieza's a great antagonist. I love the World Tournament arcs. I love Goku as a kid, just in his, obliviousness of the world. I love everything about it, and I don't know, man. It's a hard one to top for me. It really, really is. At my number 7, I have Gantz, which is another manga by Hiroya Oku. He has 2 manga in my top 10, which is very impressive, but Gantz came first, and Gantz is the one I just love with all my heart. I love Kurono as a main character. I love how this series progresses. I mean, it's a series where basically these characters die right in the beginning, and then they get transported into this room. They're given weapons, they're given suits, and they say, hey, you have to go fight aliens. And you think it's a joke, you think it's fun, and then it just gets darker and darker and darker, and people get fucked up in this manga, and nobody is safe. Doesn't matter if you're a main character, doesn't matter if you're a woman, doesn't matter if you're a grandma, doesn't matter if you're a toddler, you're gonna get fucked up in this manga. And my number 6 is Vagabond, and that might seem a little too low for Vagabond, and I can understand that. If you put Vagabond as your number 1, I would say yes, that is correct, right? It's just here because I just happen to like 5 more manga more, but Vagabond truly is a masterpiece. I think it's a great story, but beyond that, it shares a lot of the ideas and philosophies of Miyamoto Musashi, what it means to be strong, what it means to make a name for yourself, what it means to be a swordsman, and what it means to grow older and learn different perspectives and to kind of go beyond that chaos that we find in ourselves and find the peace and find the calm in a chaotic world. So it's a beautiful manga. The artwork is just phenomenal. Like, you can't say enough about the artwork in this manga. It just looks absolutely incredible. It is one that I think everybody should read, but I do think that maybe you need to have a certain amount of life experience to really let the lessons land. And I'm not saying that to be like gatekeepy or anything. I mean, if you read this at 15, it's whatever, but I think that if you read this at a later age, say like late 20s, 30s, I do think you would have a better appreciation for it. Same thing with my number 5. My number 5 is Goodnight Poon Poon. And even though Goodnight Poon Poon is a story about a very young character, we follow him from his elementary school years into his early 20s. But I think that if you have a certain amount of life experience and you look back and read this story like I did, I am shocked with how realistic this story is. This story is dark. It's sad. It's about depression. It's about growing up in a harsh life. It's about your mind constantly attacking you. And the authenticity that the author is able to put into Goodnight Poon Poon, just, it makes it feel so real that it doesn't even feel like a manga. You know, it doesn't feel like a story. It just feels like people are taking snapshots of their actual life and just showing the harsh, cruel truth of what it's like when your mind constantly attacks you and then you fall into darkness as you get older. Like, this is not a feel-good manga at all, but it's a realistic manga. And I think that if you have a good amount of experience in life or have gone through darkness, that it is a good one to read, because it shows that you're not alone, number one, but it also shows darkness in a truthful way, which a lot of stories shy away from. My number 4 is not quite as dark, although it does get dark in some moments, and this is Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter, I think, is a masterpiece. I think the writing is incredibly clever, how it plays on the tropes of shonen and how it pushes the boundaries, and how Togashi was able to do things in Hunter x Hunter that he couldn't do in Yu Yu Hakusho. You could tell that he wanted to, but he couldn't go all the way. But with Hunter x Hunter, he goes all the way and beyond, especially in the current arc that's happening right now. It is insane. If you are keeping up with Hunter x Hunter right now, this will go down as probably one of the best written shonen arcs of all time. And it already has one of those in the Chimera Ant arc, but it's just doing it again because Togashi's a GOAT. I think last year this was at number 7 or 8, but number 3 this year is Vinland Saga. Not only did I reread Vinland Saga, but I'm keeping up with all the new chapters, which, by the way, there should be one dropping tonight or tomorrow or something like that. But Vinland Saga is just absolutely incredible. I love the story and journey of Thorfinn, and even though there are moments that I get frustrated with it, it's a good frustration because it grows a conversation, and a really important conversation to have. And it's a story about this man named Thorfinn. He was thrust into war at an early age. He had a penchant for vengeance. Then he was thrusted into slavery, and now he's trying to create a world without both of those things in one of the most violent times in human history. It's a really, truly beautiful story, and it's in its final arc right now, so it's a great time to jump on board. Season 2 of the anime comes out in January, so if you're not into Vinland Saga yet, it's a great time to, man. At my number 2... Now, this was my favorite manga for many, many, many years, ever since I was a teenager. This is Rurouni Kenshin. And regardless of the controversy with the author, Kenshin is a story that deeply resonated with my heart, and something that, and it's as cheesy and corny as it sounds, really inspired my morality and how I feel about the world. Because, I mean, I watched the anime first and read it when I was like 15, 16 years old. You know, your formative years as a person, when you start to kind of develop what your morals truly are. You know, you're going beyond what your parents say. Like, what do you really think about life? And Rurouni Kenshin really cemented a lot of my feelings about things. And I can never separate myself from Kenshin because it just meant that much to me. So, you know, I don't look at the manga and think about the author at all. I just think about the story and I think about the characters. And I love this story to the bottom of my heart. And nothing's ever going to change that. And my number 1, as you guys have probably guessed, obviously my number 1 is Rooster Fighter. An incredibly beautiful manga, great artwork, you know, probably the best protagonist of all time. This is a manga that I think everybody should read for sure. And, I mean, I guess honorable mention, you can throw Berserk in there. Yeah, Berserk is here. You know, it's all right. It's okay. It's a decent manga. You know, it's all right. It's the artwork could use a little work, but, you know. No, come on. Let's be honest here. There's no story in the world that's better than Berserk. I don't care. I don't care if it's manga. I don't care if it's anime. I don't care if it's a movie. I don't care if it's a novel series. I don't care if it's Lord of the Rings. I don't care if it's the fucking Bible. Berserk is better, and it's number 1, and nothing will ever change that. Anyways, guys, that is my list of my top 25 favorite manga of all time. Let me know what you think of my list down below. Again, this was my favorite manga, not what I think is the best written or anything like that, just my personal favorite. So let me know what you think of my list. Thanks for watching, guys, and also happy Thanksgiving if you are in the U.S. Happy late Canadian Thanksgiving. And do any other countries have Thanksgiving? I don't know. I have no idea. But I love you guys. Please give the video a like if you would like. And subscribe to the channel if you want to. Because I am still going to try to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I really don't think I'm going to hit it at this point. But if you want to help me get there, I'd appreciate it. Other than that, guys, I love you. I'll talk to you next time.